Hi, welcome to Market Minute. This is where we analyze the markets looking for opportunities, but most importantly, also protecting our downside in our portfolios when we believe we need to. We think there's a really interesting new investment thesis brewing, and that's mergers and acquisitions. So we made a lot of money doing this, my old firm in the 1980s, and we think the environment's similar, and we think it's just now starting to heat up. So we have some ideas to share with you. So what happens toward the end of an economic cycle? The economy begins to slow. And actually we're seeing inflation slow as well, down from a very high level. So it's harder for companies to get the top line growth that they need. So as the economy slows with high stock prices and generally plenty cash on the balance sheets, companies look to make acquisitions. So they look at the quality competitors that they can acquire because their stocks are depressed and roll them into their company, consolidating their operations and having some extra growth. Now what's happening is the Federal Trade Commission has had some notable losses recently in the courts, and these acquisitions have gone through. So companies can now be more aggressive, knowing that they can win in the courts if they have to take it to court. So quality companies that are attractively valued, so we want to own those regardless if an acquisition occurs or not. If an acquisition occurs, then we get a nice upside surprise along with it. We're putting together a list of our 10 most likely candidates, and as we get those investments made, we'll share it with everybody. So on Monday, Cleveland-Cliffs announced that they made an offer for U.S. Steel. The stock went up 40%, and U.S. Steel turned them down. So it's an indication of what's going on in the markets, that this is playing out as kind of we discussed. Last week, we were very happy to announce, because we owned it, our investors are very happy about this, that Capri is being acquired by Tapestry for $57. So big premium, 67% premium. Capri's still cheap, believe it or not, and I think Tapestry is probably a good investment with this acquisition. But you can see here the one-day massive move in the stock. So we think there's more to come on these potentials. Now, as you know, we've been thinking about the markets having a 5 to 10% correction, particularly as we move into August and September. September, the worst month seasonally for the markets. August, the second worst month. So we're kind of in the midst of it now. The S&P is down 2.7% so far through Friday for the start of September. The Nasdaq's down 4.5%. So the markets are currently a little bit oversold. We think they may rally a little bit. If they come down and break through the 50-day, I'll show you that in a second, we think there's a potential for a pop. But right now, we've reduced our equity exposure by 25%. We'll do it again if we break the 50-day by any meaningful amount, and then look to hedge the entire portfolio if it continues to go down. So let me show you the technicals. The S&P 500, as you can see, big run up, stayed above the 20-day the whole time. Now broke the 20-day moving average. So this is the initial alarm bell going off, and for our more defensive strategies, particularly as we're so far above the 200-day, they got more defensive. Now we have the 50-day moving average at 4443 on the S&P 500. If it breaks to that, to any meaningful amount, then we'll probably, as I mentioned, raise another 25% to have a 50% pull down in where we were previously. And then we're looking at the 100-day because we were so far above the 200-day moving average. So right now, our thought process is the S&P 500 will probably rally a little bit and then come down and test this 50-day moving average. And as I mentioned, if it breaks through it any meaningful amount, it's time to get more defensive. So need to be on our toes watching this, and maybe it sets up for a little bit of a trade, but we believe that there's going to be lower lows when we enter September. please hit like, subscribe to our video, and then come on to my website, Patrick Adams CFA, and get the weekly research piece we send out via email. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And then look for that list of 10 in the next week or two. Take care.